So we got a trap game Sunday in New Orleans, one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NBA right now. No Zion, no Jordan Poole. Loon Dog, he's something wrong with his knee. It's his hip. It's always the hip. Nah. But they come into this Sunday evening matchup after the two big emotional wins, obviously in San Antonio, and the Pelicans just firing Willie Green. So you're a little worried about maybe a honeymoon phase, an extra added level of effort from this young Pelicans team. And one of the issues with the Pelicans team, along with availability of their star players and maybe just overall team IQ, is they're giving up too many three-pointers, right? And so naturally, the new coach, his name is escaping me. He was Charlotte's coach. He's a coachy coach. He's a coach's coach. Is going to overcorrect a little bit, I think. It's like, oh, we're giving up too many threes. And so they packed the paint. And in the first quarter of this thing, Moody hits 1, 2, 3. You're like, oh, Mo's hot, right? 4, 5. I'm texting my daughter, Moody heat check alert. He's hit 6. Wait, no, he's hit 7 of them in this first quarter for 21 points. And so we open up, a 20-point lead, score 40-some points. I think the highest scoring first quarter of the season. And, we kept them at arm's length the whole time. It never got too close for comfort. I think that that's important, right? And Moses ends up finishing with 8 threes, a career high 32 points. Now, we've got super solid performance out of Moses this season, as well as last season, up until that thumb hand injury we didn't know about. And in the playoffs, right, he disappeared. It's a learning experience, I guess. But, listen, I've been hot and cold with Moses over this 4 years he's played with us. Last year, when he started to figure it out defensively, I was like, okay, cool. Like I can live with the limited offense. If you can be this long defender, like I'm good, right? He disappointed me in the playoffs. The thumb stuff makes sense. But I guess I'm asking the next step from Mo. Can he give us the occasional 30 ball? I think maybe the top question I get from people in the comments and different formats and platforms is like, who's going to be the second scorer or third scorer, right? Jimmy maybe once a week at this age, right? And then you say, well, then they lean on the system. Can it be one of the young guys? Is it Kuminga? Is it Moses? Can you give us the occasional 30 ball where you can have an off night from Steph Curry and it's all good? Now, granted, it's all relative and the opponent allowed that as well. But maybe that's the next step for him, because it's not just that he is shooting the ball at an all-time high with confidence. He's getting it off quicker, right? Because there's no hesitation. I think he's also starting to utilize his length at the rim a lot better. Right? I used to tease Mo in his first couple of years. He used to try to dunk on a lot of people. And it's like, Moses, you are never getting that dunk. I'm not saying he can't never dunk on somebody, but he would try. So if you go back to young Moses, he had some dunks that you couldn't believe he tried. And he's figuring out like, no, my advantage is actually to elongate and use my 7-foot wingspan and get it to the glass quick and use angles, use the rim to protect my shot rather than just straight going vertical. And so, year 5, Moses, it's funny because the Trey Murphy talk, shout out my guy on Patreon who wants to remind me every chance he gets that we passed up on Trey Murphy for Moses Moody. Trey Murphy went 17th. Moses went 14th. Moses, clutch client. And my guy believes like that was part of the decision. Instead of going for Trey Murphy. I like them. I didn't have Trey. I'm not going to sit here and say I had Trey Murphy above Moses Moody in my draft process, but maybe it's not as much as a gap as it may once have appeared. I don't necessarily think the conversation is over the way that Moses has been playing this year. And speaking of Trey Murphy, he get all he can eat now, high volume without Zion, without Jordan Poole. And what I saw going around on Twitter the last 48 hours was Kuminga, Pods, and a first-round pick for Trey Murphy. That sounds like too much to me. That sounds like a little bit too much in my opinion. Like, I like Trey Murphy. I think it would be, that sounds like, that's a lot. watching him tonight, not a great night for him, and we'll go over the tape and the breakdown. There was a lot of things that, I don't know. That seems like a lot. I would counter that with, what's the kid's name? Messi, the big African center, bouncy, young, right? And Jordan Hawkins for half that. You get a big, bouncy, athletic rim protector. You get a system shooter, a movement shooter. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I don't like Trey Murphy, but the package pause that's been floating around seemed a little rich for my blood. I think the storyline, though, is, I have a couple more thoughts on this one. And again, I'll have a full breakdown. I got quite a few jokes to get off in this breakdown that aren't appropriate for YouTube, perhaps. So I'll save those. Draymond looks to be working his way into shape. Started in the San Antonio Wemby series. You knew he was going to get up for that. And maybe that helped him get in shape, being focused and playing harder against Wemby, because he was flying around today. There were a couple sequences where he was just second, third, fourth efforts and just being active, and he looks like he's worked his way into shape. So that's super positive, as well as controlling his emotions. You know, have you noticed that? Even in the San Antonio, the Wemby stuff, he never crossed the line. I certainly thought he was at certain points. And then tonight, some dude courtside gets in his face. And the first thing that I noticed was like, dude's bigger than Draymond. That dude was bigger than Draymond. That was crazy. And he controlled himself. Maybe because dude was big. Nah. But so Draymond getting in shape and in control, towing the line well. And then you look at Pods. What did Pods have? Like a 20 ball tonight? I haven't checked the stat. You know I'm not a stats guy. But Pods, what I've noticed ever since the comments from Draymond and Jimmy, and so it's been, 3 games? He's getting easy offense, right? Like slipping to the basket, dunker spot, weak side slash off like a play that breaks down. And he's scoring out of the system, not trying to create his own shot. And towards the end there, he had that nice, he got in his bag a little bit, hit a 3 once he was confident and comfortable, right? But I think that's what he is. Then he rebounds, he hustles, he makes the 50-50 balls, and he's a third guard. That's what I've always said. And I think that right now, since they made the change to the starting lineup, it's undeniable Pods is playing better coming off the bench. But yeah, back to Steph. I had tweeted it out. I was like, man, I'm actively rooting for Steph to not get hot here and get some empty calories at the end of this game, just psychologically. We've been watching Steph long enough to know. One, you knew at some point, there was going to be some sort of drought. He was going to have to come back down to earth after those 2 performances. And in no better game than this one, where you didn't necessarily need it, was my point. And so by the time the game was in control, I was like, I hope he don't score. So then he's extra thirsty when he gets to Florida for this back-to-backs against Orlando and Miami. But yeah, man, they take care of business and they do it the way you'd hope it looked, on the backs of Moses Moody, Pods, and just a good overall team effort. I do look forward to the Poole Draymond matchup, which we've seemed to miss almost half the time now. Either one of them is out every time they're supposed to match up. Those that say, hey, bring Jordan Poole back, they'd have to send us picks. They'd have to send us picks to take Jordan Poole back. Let's be clear about that. But they don't have picks because of Derek Queen. And it's unfortunate for this kid with the 13th pick, and they lost their, they messed up. And he has to play with that shadow over him of them giving up their future first round pick. And Derek Queen, look, good hands, good feet, skilled. I don't like the body. He's, the body, he's built like a handyman, right? Like a handyman named Phil. Functional, but when you really need something, is he going to be of use? No, I had to get that one off, man. I'll be writing a little bit, but no, I think he's of the Şengün mold, but he's a ways away from that, obviously. And I think he does have to work on his body. But yeah, thought I'd tap in here on a Sunday evening, and that's 3 in a row now. Someone had asked me 49ers talk. I'm just a fan, bro. The Warriors coverage is such a marathon that I just try to watch the Niners just as a fan and sit back. But how I'm feeling right now is Brock Purdy's return. I think that it's very clear he cannot or will not run on that toe. And so it's cool that they hung 40 against this decimated Cardinals team where they didn't make him have to scramble out of the pocket. But once they see the Rams, Seattle, or any other functional team, I think it's going to be a problem. And I think it's going to end up looking like a bad decision to bring him back in what is going to be a lost season ultimately. But egos, money, optics, they play a huge part. More of a part than maybe we acknowledge in these professional sports. Anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. And as always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.